Stian Angermund, welcome to the Free Trail Podcast, my friend. It's nice to see you.
Thank you. Likewise.
I've been desperate to have you on the podcast forever. You have, of course, been an incredible champion athlete in the sport for a long time, but we're going to use our time today to talk at length about, I guess, less happy subject matter. You've, of course, been going through a very hard moment in your life and in your professional athletic career. I think the best place to start, Stian, is the finish line of OCC in 2023. You won the race for the second time on the biggest stage. So take us into the moments after that elation, into the doping control itself. I think the audience would love to understand how anti-doping protocols work practically. So can you just describe the process leaving the finish line?
Yes, of course. Yeah, as I said, I won the race, and I'm happy for that. And straight after finish line, I met a guy from the French Antidoping Association, and he followed me the whole way to a house where we had this doping control. We enter the house. Everything is like normal. I'm sitting there drinking a lot of water because after a race like this, most of us are quite dehydrated. So, and when I felt like, okay, I'm ready to pee, we enter another room. He showed me a lot of like boxes where the would have like glasses for bottles for testing. So I picked one of these boxes, opened it, and found like a cup. And then we enter the bathroom, and the doping controller, the witness, he saw me pee in the cup. And then we went back to the previous room, and I take the urine from the cup and filled in two glasses. And those two glasses are the A and B sample. And then I check the numbers because on this, when you take a doping control, urine type of doping control, then you have to check like the numbers on the glasses. That's like 10 numbers, or I don't know, it's a lot of numbers, and check that there's the same on the A sample and B sample, and you need to write it down on this form. And he went through the form. I had nothing else to comment there. He asked if I had some medicine or supplements, and I said no, because I don't use any medicine or supplements. And I signed also that they can use this urine sample for research. And if I had any other comments, no, and then I was done.
Okay. And to what extent had you had much experience with doping controls in your career? Of course, you're a two-time world champion at this point. You're a two-time OCC champion at this point. Obviously, you've raced a lot on the Golden Trail World Series. Are you very experienced with anti-doping controls?
Yeah, I've done several. So this was felt like normal. I've done doping controls for several years.
Yeah. Okay, so there was nothing out of the ordinary. It was just you winning a major race and going through the processes, which of course are very important to uphold the integrity of sport. And you left. This is August 31st, 2023. And it wasn't until October 6th of 2023 that you were notified of this adverse finding. Can you just share how you were notified and the emotions present as you came to understand this situation?
Yeah, actually, I get notified the 20th of October 2023. Okay. But I want to go like 3 days before that. That was the 17th of October 2023. Then we got a son. So my girlfriend, she was pregnant when I was running the OCC, and we got a son on the 17th of October 2023 that we were grateful for. And then on Friday, the 20th of October 2023, we arrived home. We were tired but happy. And we were looking forward to start like a new chapter with our second child. So we have a daughter from before that. She is now almost 3.5 years old. And so that was a happy moment. And then by later that evening, I saw I got a notification on my phone, and I said, "Okay, this is something weird." And I had like a bad feeling from straight away. But I was waiting until my whole family fell asleep, and then I went downstairs to the kitchen, opened my computer, and I saw this email from the French Antidoping Association stating I was had tested positive for a bad substance, and that was that was a big shock, and my whole world just collapsed.
Share more about the emotions going through your head and your heart at that time.
Yeah, I still find this very difficult to talk about. It's something I never thought could happen. Like as I said, I don't use medicine, luckily, because I have a good health. And I don't use any supplements because I know there could be contaminated. And and I'm, don't use any creams, nothing. So I thought this never could happen. I was really shocked. I was, of course, sad. And I was shaking. I think I was laying down on the floor crying. I picked up my phone and called a very good friend of mine, and he couldn't believe it either. And I don't think I slept much that night.
Do you immediately start to have nervous thoughts about what this means for your career, for your reputation, for everything that you've built to accomplish in your life?
Yes, I think the most difficult for me is that I'm against doping. I really want a clean sport. And when I saw this letter, I just saw it's just it was like I don't know, plenty of attachments, most of them in French. I just saw cheater. That was like when I saw this, like, cheater. And that is something I'm not. Like, it's so against my values to cheat on anything. And because to be an athlete, it's so much of my identity. It's something I really enjoy. It's something that matters a lot to me. And to get this is a big conflict with my values.
Yeah.
And that's why this is so difficult for me to handle. If someone said, like, you're the most horrible drivers ever, then, like, okay, but that's not important to me. So I don't care. But, like, to be to get, like, tested positive for a bad substance, it's not me.
Right.
And I don't understand how this could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally envision myself being in that situation, how I would feel. Not only the implications of what it means for, the rest of your career, but also for your reputation and for how people know you and how people see you, and therefore your friendships and your relationships, with people even outside of sport. One thing that I think is really important is to talk about the substance itself. Can you share what is Chlorthalidone, if I'm saying that right, and to what extent you knew what that substance was prior to your positive result?
Yeah, it took some time before I actually understood what kind of substance it was. Yeah, and I figured out it was something they called Chlorthalidone, which I never heard of before. I have no idea what it was. What I saw in this email was that they stating I could risk or get suspended by 2 years, and also maybe get a fine up to 45,000 euros. And I had it was like 5 days to respond if I want to have my B sample analyzed, and I have 15 days to explain what happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very short short time. So we had to figure out what is chlorthalidone, and we were searching online, and also I had I made I think it was the following day. I told my girlfriend, and she said, "Okay, we need help with this." So then we were searching online, find a lawyer. It was an American lawyer we were start working with. And I called my team manager in Essex, and he did set up a meeting with him and a team doctor. And the team doctor explained me that this was this chlorthalidone is a diuretic drug. Also, that is a heart medicine. And yeah.
So for our audience here, as far as I understand it, feel free to add any color that you want here, Stian, is that diuretics are typically used as masking agents. So in other words, it's a banned substance, not necessarily because it enhances performance, but in that it helps you mask potential other substances that you would be using. Is that accurate? I think also they've said that it can also be useful for rapid weight loss, which does have performance implications. Is that fair, just for the audience to be educated on the substance?
Yeah, for what I read, that's correct. It's a performance enhancing drug, so it doesn't help you at all by itself. And I think, it could be used for weight loss.
Yeah.
But like to run with it at a race in high altitude, whereas in the heat, it does not help your performance at all.
Yeah. Okay. So coming back to what we just talked about, you were informed on October 20th of this adverse finding. That means it had been 50 days between your test and the communication of the positive finding. And it says also in the report that it was 14 days from the finding to the communication to you. So there was about a 25-day gap between when the AFLD received the positive report and then another 2 weeks before they told you of the positive report. So 50 days in total. Practically speaking, it seems like this delay in the testing and the communication made it really hard for you to argue your case. So can you just walk us through that delay and how it impacted things?
Like when we started investigation, I realized it's really difficult to figure out what happened 50 days ago. And to find, like, the whole thing is just, we need to find the source. That we learn from the lawyer we use, like, we need to find the source. And to investigate something happened 50 and then like way more than that, because it's when you receive this, it's just a big shock. It takes several days before you actually realize what happened. So it's and then we also learned, like, when you take a drug, the level in your body increases, and then it has like a tail. It's what's it called? Like the level drops slowly, and we call like
I think they call it a half-life.
Half-life, yeah. Sorry, yeah, thank you. And I only have like one test. If I get notified like the following day after my this urine sample collection, then with the results, then I could take another test and get like another point on the curve, and then it's way easier to actually find the source. But when I get informed 50 days later, then it's not possible to have a retest.
And so as you're doing the reverse engineering of your life for the past 50 days, can you walk the audience through the things that you're thinking about? Because as I understand it, looking and reading through some of the reports, you had to go test the nutrition supplements or the nutrition products that you use during OCC. you're trying to get in touch with the accommodations where you stayed in Chamonix to see if you may have been inadvertently exposed somehow through tap water or otherwise there. Share a little bit about how you actually do that investigation yourself.
Yeah, like through with the lawyer we used, he like helped us with the process, because like I never been in a doping situ, like being accused for doping before. I don't know how this works. So we got some help, and then we figured out it was a good idea to test the products we're using, what we have at home. So for me, I don't use any medicine or supplements. So what can I test? Yeah, the nutrition I use. So it was some Morton, like it was a drink mix from Morton, and it was a couple of Moon Valley bars that I tested. And then we tested some of my girlfriend medicine and supplements, and also heart medicine that my mother-in-law is using. So we that was early in December 2023, and then we had to send them a reminder, and like several weeks after, and then they said, okay, we can test. And this product, first you need to have the proof that you could test them, and then they need to be tested at a WADA lab.
Yeah.
So the closest one is in Oslo in Norway. So I sent it there. Was like in middle of January, and then we got the result by the end of February. So
and they were all negative.
They were all negative, which we assume actually.
Yeah, you're probably hoping that you can find the source, but also, reconciling with the fact that at this point it's a wild goose chase, as we call it here in North America, and that you're really just trying to uncover every stone, knowing that it's unlikely you're going to find anything. I just want to read something here for the audience because I think it's really important. So it seems like the French Anti-Doping Authority, the AFLD, commissioned a report from Professor Michelle Adons, and in his report, I just want to read a quick paragraph as it relates to this delay because I think it's an important detail. It says, secondly, it should be noted that although Mr. Angermund underwent the doping control in question on 31st August 2023, the adverse analytical finding was not reported to the laboratory until 6th October 2023 and notified to him on the following 20th October 2023. This delay complicated the investigations carried out by the athlete, whereas it is crucial, particularly in cases of alleged contamination, to be able to rapidly carry out the necessary investigations to identify the source of exposure to the prohibited substance. Anything you want to add to that? It sort of just re-summarizes what we just said, but I think it's just really important to underline the fact that once you receive this positive finding, it's on you to then go back and reverse engineer how this contamination may have happened. And the longer that delay happens, the harder that becomes.
That's totally true. And when we had to buy the testing of the B sample, and the result we got the following day. So they tested it the 7th of November, and the result we got the 8th of November. So this whole process can go way faster.
Wow. So is there anything you want to share about that B sample also? I think from my perspective, the psychology around it, I could envision you just praying that it would come up negative, and then there would be confusion as to how the A sample would be different from the B sample. But is there anything about that you learned about the A sample and B sample process that would be interesting or valuable for the audience?
No, like yes, I was of course hoping it was be negative, the B sample, and in a way I thought that might happen because I don't understand how the A sample could be positive at all.
Right.
And after this, we also ordered when we bought the B sample to get analyzed. We also bought what they call a documentation package on the A and B sample, and that is the laboratory report. So we sent that to actually several experts has looked through it, And what we saw first was actually there was a wrong date on the collection day on documentation package A. Yeah. That was, confusing. And also what we figured out later was that it was no information on where the sample has been the first 5 days after collection. And we figured out also, we sent, it was a date on this, what's it called, chain of custody, that we thought was the 31st of August. And then we also, like, later, that was like in March 2024, we asked for a DNA analysis of my urine sample, which they denied, because they said like the process was fine, and like and also they told us the witness that saw me pee in the cup, he had it in his own private fridge for 5 days. And then we were realized that the date we had on this chain of custody was wrong, and we sent that to a handwritten expert. And she told us that the date was altered from a date in August until the 4th of September.
Okay, this is, I think, really, really important. So I want to spend time talking about the chain of custody, and I can't stress how important this is. So again, the sample was collected August 31st, 2023 at the finish line of OCC. It wasn't taken to the lab until September 5th, 2023. Or it was September 4th that it was taken, as I understand it. And the 5th is when they did the test. And just, I think, underlining the importance of this detail, a French anti-doping official for the AFLD.
Let's follow me through the doping control.
So he's the same individual who witnessed you produce the sample.
Yeah, he was the one saw me pee in the cup, and he had this the urine sample in his private fridge.
Okay, so that's where I want to like really press pause for a second. The sample was taken to his own home, which to me just doesn't feel professional, especially with the weight of consequences and implications that is attached to this. But it seems to me that is okay based on the standard. So in other words, if it were me in your shoes, I would want that sample taken to the lab immediately following its production at the finish line of OCC, and it tested immediately, not taken to some private individual's private home and kept there for 4 or 5 days. But it seems that is not necessarily against the standard or the rules, that they have 7 days to bring it to the lab. And even though it's in an individual's private fridge, because that individual is, quote unquote, an official, it's not against the standard. Am I summarizing that effectively?
It's correct. I thought it was like put in some kind of a box with a locker on it and maybe a camera that was filming it the whole way, and then drive it straight to Paris for testing. But not. So I was actually surprised about that this was okay within the standards.
I can't stress how important this is. Yes, as athletes, we need to be open to testing and to uphold the integrity of sport, but also the doping authorities need to understand the gravity of the responsibility they have in protecting clean athletes. And I have only been tested a couple of times in my career, Stian, but there was one moment in particular where I was tested, where there was nobody there to witness me produce the sample, where I didn't produce an A and a B sample, and where I handed it over in a state of rage because I felt like the people there were not understanding how much, an adverse finding would impact my life and my career. And the fact that the process was questionable alone, sent me into a state of panic and rage. And so, in the case where, you do receive an adverse finding, it's just, I think, really important to focus on the details of the process itself. So coming back to something you said a second ago, you informed ASICS, it seemed like, pretty early. I'd love to hear you share anything else about
I
Yeah,
just have one more thing to add when it comes to
please.
this. They said one of the reasons I couldn't get DNA analysis of the urine sample is also because I didn't stated anything in the form during the doping control, which I think it's strange, because all the mistakes here has happened after I did this urine sample. So how can I put that in the form?
So the purpose of that would be to determine if this urine was indeed your urine. That's the purpose of the DNA test.
Yeah, because I'm questioning that. I still don't know if it was my urine.
Yeah, jeez.
And because I didn't put anything on any comment, I thought the process was safe, and I don't feel it's safe.
Yeah, it's strange that they would deny that request. All right, so coming back to what you said earlier, it seems like you were open about this with your main sponsor, ASICS, immediately. Yeah. I'd love for you to share how they reacted, and also other conversations, which I'm sure you had to have at that point with friends and training partners and family. What were those conversations like?
A lot of tears. Has been a lot of tears the whole way. Yes, I informed ASICS the following day after I received this email, and then also I informed all my other sponsors. And it was a lot of good conversations. I also, actually, the first day after, during one of my first calls, after I got this email, it was that I should fake the case.
What do you mean?
That mean what I heard is that someone told me I should blame my girlfriend for being pregnant at the time, and that it was maybe find a doctor that could write a prescription.
Oh wow!
And to change that, and that will change everything, because then I would have the source. But to me, it's not okay to cheat, even though I get accused for cheating, which I had not. But I heard that several times. If you can live with it, fake it. And I can't live with it. Yeah. But I heard that the whole way. Several times last year in 2024, several people also told me about that I should do that.
And which would effectively, if they were able to find the source of it, then you would be more eligible for a no-fault finding. And
exactly,
because you were honest about it, here we are, and we'll get to the conclusion of things later on in the conversation. Well, thanks for sharing that. I think that's important too. One thing I'd also love you to talk about, which I don't think we covered in the investigation that you did yourself on nutrition products that you were using, is that OCC, the race, does not allow crew access, meaning that you had to rely on the nutrition that you were carrying yourself and also the products that were present at the UTMB supplied aid stations. And it sounds like UTMB could not deliver the batch numbers on those products, which meant that it seems, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems somewhat likely that the contamination could have occurred during the race itself. So talk about that, the fact that you weren't allowed to use crew, using what was present on the course, and how that factored into this whole conversation.
Yeah, first, the first nutrition and all the supplements and medicine we sent for analyzing, that was not my race nutrition. Because the known research that has been done said that Chlorthalidone is not traceable in the urine within within 6 hours after you've eaten it or intake. Okay. So, but a new study that was published by the end of January 2024 stated that it is possible to find Chlorthalidone after 1 hour after eating. So that means that my race nutrition, I should test that. So I sent an email to the French Antidoping Association requesting testing my race nutrition, which they actually not answered until mid-June. So I don't know why, but they just ignored the email for several months.
Yeah,
that's one thing. That's my race nutrition. And then yes, we did contact with UTMB and asking for the batch and lot number for the products using the race, and also to ask about what kind of how they're teaching all the volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
And who was the volunteers during the race, and they denied all of this. Like we don't know. They haven't answered anything of this. And then I asked the hotel we stayed at, the ASICS hotel, and they said that just none of them are using medicine, and the people working there. And I also asked ASICS, the people who were working for ASICS that were with us, with all us athletes during the UTMB week, and they can't tell me if anyone used the medicine, because like as a boss you can't ask the employees what medicine they're using. So even after my case got leaked, I still can't get an answer to that. So it's a lot of closed doors and barriers for me to actually investigate.
I want to come to the case being leaked here in just a second, but it makes me want to ask you, and it may be counterproductive to speculate, so feel free to pass if so, but do you at this point have a suspicion about where the contamination occurred, or is it still a total mystery?
It's still a total big mystery. Like I have no idea where it could come from. And I still don't know. And it's frustrating. I really want to figure out where this come from.
Right. Okay. Well, no need to speculate then, but I, was just personally curious. So everything that we've talked about up to this point was happening in private. So in the timeline of events, this brings us to the end of 2023. And it was in early 2024 that you went public on your Instagram. It was in February with a post that outlined the situation where you categorically maintained your innocence and just sort of made it clear to the public that you were going to be off the race course for a little while you were dealing with this situation. Can you describe your feelings around that moment of this going from a private affair to a public affair?
Yeah, like when this when I get informed about this case, I informed my sponsors, and they told me that they didn't want this case to be public before it gets solved. So I said okay, because I was actually thinking about going to tell the public straight away when it happened, and then in beginning of February 2024, a journalist from the Norwegian Public Media House called me and said he got the tips about me testing positive. And yes, I confirmed that. And also I said that my sponsor don't want this to come out. So can we, yes, I will show up in the interview and everything, but can we wait until this case is done? He said, okay. And a couple of days later, he called me and he said that, no, this information has to come out now. They could do it anonymous.
Anonymous? Yeah.
Anonymous. It's a difficult word. But yeah. Or I could show up in front of the camera. And I think the best is to show up in front of the camera. If not, there will be a lot of rumors, and it was like, it's not good. So we had the interview. That was not fun. I never seen the interview, and I will never will do that. And I'll never see it again or see it ever. That was no fun. It was, it was some really tough days. I got a friend of mine. He took over my social media. Like the post I published that day, I created that with my girlfriend a couple of days before. But and we pressed publish, and then I didn't look on social media for several months.
I was wondering about that, because if you go back and revisit that post, and I'll make sure to link to it in the show notes here.
Yeah.
It's an outpouring of love and support for you, Stian. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not all the communications that you received. There was probably some amount of public criticism or skepticism about your side of the story. Can you share any feedback that you were getting about the public reaction to your case?
Yeah, like I'm very happy that I got so many good friends and family to support me, and also to have this kind of shield when it comes to to protect me from criticism in the social media. I realized that I get like 99.9% love in return. And the following days, I was very surprised when I was out running in the local trails here in Bergen, that people were just clapping. They were strange people, people I never met before, come over and did give me a hug. And it was so much love out there, and that was wonderful. The days, the months before that, I was so scared. I was scared of going outside the house. I was scared of meeting people. It was no fun, but like with all the love from the people out there, it was just amazing. At the same time, it was also really difficult to handle. I have several, I think I read almost every message I got, but still, like, I have several messages, actually most of them I haven't been able to reply. Mm-hmm. It's been so emotional trying to answer the super kind messages I got, and I feel really bad for not have answered these messages. I just cry so much when I read all those kind words. Yeah. And I've also think like I'm the one of the lucky ones in this unfair, shitty situation. Like I'm 100% sure there are clean athletes out there that get so much criticism. Mm-hmm. And I know there are people that are athletes in my situation that are thinking about ending their lives. And I've been actually talking with one of them. It's really bad.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
So yeah, in this really unfair situation, I'm really lucky. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Stian. And I think any reasonable person can understand being in that situation. Like, yes, there are horrible examples of athletes who egregiously, flagrantly cheat their competition and who deserve to be punished, and the sport needs to be defended from that. But it's equally tragic if a clean athlete has their life, their career, their reputation ruined based on something that they didn't do, or certainly didn't intentionally do. And it is great, as somebody who has followed you for a long time and who has looked at all these posts and through a lot of the comments, to see the fact that your hard-earned reputation did stick with you. In other words, it wasn't as if the situation was so polarizing to the fact that, you lost half your friends, or worst case scenario, overnight, the entire sport turns its back on you. And it must have been overwhelmingly emotional to receive the positive support that you did at that time. So skipping,
that's really amazing. I feel that trail running community is an amazing community. I feel like, yes, we are competitors, but I feel more that we are friends racing with each other. And I'm so happy to have the experience to be part of this, and I really hope to come back to it. Yeah.
Well, we're excited to have you back too. We'll come to that in a little bit. I still want to tick through some of the further details of this that I think are important.
Yeah, I want one more thing to add when you said about the clean athletes. I saw a report that WADA estimates that 40% of all suspended athletes are what they call non-intentionals.
Wow.
I'm a non-intentional. And it's when I see now this anti-doping world, like from the WADA world from the wrong side, I'm really sad that other athletes is going through this hell.
Yeah.
That other clean athletes is in this nightmare. And I really hope in the future that this could change to make the sport more safe for clean athletes.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to describe my experience with being tested here too, because it really does demand perfection in the execution because of the weight of the consequences associated with this, not only in serving a 2-year ban. Yeah, that's terrible, but also to have your entire name tarnished forever, especially with the core community that you've loved and built a relationship for more than a decade. That's a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy. And so, yeah, but at the same time, we need to protect the sport from the intentional cheaters. And so it's a really hard balance to strike. And that's why it's so important that the process is perfect and pristine and beyond reproach. Okay, skipping ahead in the timeline a little bit. One of the things I was talking about with Corinne recently is that it seems like in the timeline between July and September, your lawyer was having a hard time kind of getting response from the AFLD. And I think there was speculation that it was based on the fact that the Paris Olympics were happening at that time. So anything you want to share from last summer about like trying to move the process forward and, you know, not making much progress?
Yeah, I just want to add, like the most of the investigation we did, like with asking UTMB, the hotel, ASICs and everything happened like in the spring 2024. And I also traveled to Strasbourg in France for a day trip to analyze my toenails and my chest hair and had that for analyzing to see if they can find Chlorthalidone in there, which they did not.
And the purpose of that is, based on my understanding, that if you had been a chronic user of this over a long period of time, it would still be present in your hair and nails.
Yeah, that's what the professor there tells us. They couldn't found it, so either it was not there or it has been a contamination. But yeah, I sent my written statement to the French Antidoping Association the 24th of April 2024. And then after that was a long waiting period, which first is the people are like executing my case. I'm not sure if that is the correct word, but they're looking at my case. It's what they call a collègue, a French Anti-Doping Association collègue. That it's a board of, I don't know, people. I don't know how many they are or who they are. They are going through the case, and so I get informed that from the French Anti-Doping Association that they had a meeting in early June, and then they came back with the first, like after a couple of days, they came back with an answer that I should test the product I asked for, requested for testing in February the same year. So then we shipped those products to Germany for testing. And that was so a couple of Morton Nutrition, which came back with the no findings of chlorthalidone.
Yep.
And my lawyer sent an email to the French Antidoping Association, a reminder in end of June, in July, in August, in September, and October, which were all ignored, stating that, can we get an answer? What is the process? What is happening? And those months were really difficult. Like I'm trapped. I can't do anything. I don't know anything about when things will happen. If they just told me like you will have an answer in October, then then I have something. Then I have knowledge of something. But now
was it the Paris Olympics that slowed things down potentially?
They have never answered.
Okay.
Like the thing actually I had in the 17th of December last year, we had a video meeting with the French Antidoping Association.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I actually saw them like face to face, even though it was on the screen.
Okay. I want to come to that in a second, but before we do, I think it's important that in October, the AFLD sent you a report that they had commissioned from a third-party individual, Professor Michelle Adons, who I referenced earlier. Aside from the point that I made earlier about the fact that the delay between the testing and the communication made it a lot more difficult for you, is there anything else that you want to share from the findings of that report that you think will be important for the audience? Because it seems like based on that report is when the AFLD gave you this settlement proposal that we'll come to in a second.
Yeah, like this, the Professor Michelle Adons said that he can't see any doping scenario, which I was happy to see, and also that he confirmed that a doctor we did hire for this, Dr. Wilhelmsen, that stated that when it comes to timeline of this chlorthalidone, is really difficult to find, like to figure out when this could happen, because the half-life of chlorthalidone has the half-life is between 40 and 80 hours. It means it's really difficult to calculate with. And also, like we this is something else, but like we did check on the WADA list, the other diuretic drug, and they have the half-life between 1 and 10 hours. So this drug is really not good for this purpose. But yeah, so it's really difficult like to estimate anything like when this could happen. And Michelle Adons say that this looks like most likely a contamination scenario, and most likely this happened just before the race or during the race.
Yep. I have a quote here I can read also from the AFLD settlement offer for you, and it says, in this respect, Professor Adons states that the concentration of chlorthalidone in the athlete's urine may correspond to the beginning of the elimination of a small amount absorbed during the race or to the end of the elimination of a small amount absorbed the day before the race. And reasonable people would then conclude, why the hell would Stian be using a banned substance during a race or the day before a race, where any intelligent athlete would know that they would be tested?
Yeah, it's it's crazy reading that. Yeah. And then I have the closed door from the UTMB. I can't test the products.
Right. Okay, so, but it's based on this third-party report from Professor Adons that AFLD then offered you an 18-month reduced ban, and you guys scheduled this meeting, your first face-to-face meeting. I interrupted you when you were about to tell me about that.
Yeah, like they come with this offer. It's because I haven't found the source. By the rules, I should have 2-year bans, and because of the circumstances, they said that they are willing to reduce it by 6 months. And then we had the video meeting. And during the video meeting, they told me like I said, it was really difficult during those months where I didn't know anything. And the people I was talking with there, that is from the administration in the French Antidoping Association, said that they didn't know either about like when things will happen, what will happen. So I don't know if there is not very good communication with the AFL, the French Antidoping Association, like shorten is AFLD, the colleague or the administration. So maybe they don't communicate very well. I don't know. They also told me that they are worried about giving me lower suspension because then WADA could appeal it. So that's why they are not willing to give me lower. So they find like a balance that is more or less fair for everyone, they say. So, but we during that meeting, we still argue for a no fault. And on the 24th of December, they came back with a new settlement offer stating that I should have a 16 months ban, and also that the ban will start 2 months earlier. Like that I forgot to tell earlier, I started this, what's it called, provisional suspension. I started this the 30th of October 2023.
Okay.
And they said that, okay, they will move the start until the collection day, the 31st of August 2023, meaning that 16 months is actually on New Year's. So in a way, I'm done now, but not yet.
Yeah.
Like I've signed the paper.
Can you share, was it a debate in your head as to whether you were going to sign the settlement proposal?
Yeah, it was like I'm not agree at all. I don't think I should be suspended because I haven't done anything wrong. I met so many closed doors and barriers in the case, and also all the mistakes done by the French Antidoping Association. I think it's very unfair. It's not correct at all to be suspended in this case. But I also see, like, if I don't sign this, I will have to go to a hearing. I need to pay maybe to have my lawyer at the hearing, paying 30,000 euros. And because of the rules, I most likely will get 2 years suspended. I don't have the money. And also, I'm just so tired of being in this horrible situation. Like, I want to get my life back. I want to be able to actually laugh and enjoy life. Yeah. And also, I feel so sorry for my kids to have a dad that is not happy. That means like I'm not as a good dad I should be. Like I give them all the love I can, but you understand, like if you're not, if you as a person are not happy, then they notice.
I totally get it. But in very different circumstances, I've had the exact same feelings with my son and with my family. And I can also see the internal tension that exists there of being like, no, on principle, I will not accept any ban. I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. But then also being like, for God's sakes, like just let this misery end. The report from my interpretation, more or less has found that this isn't intentional, but because of the fact that you can't identify exactly where the contamination occurred, that you have to receive some type of ban. There's no way for you to receive a no fault. So at that point, it's like, okay, well, it's over now as long as WADA doesn't decline this or appeal this. And so let's just get on with our lives and leave this in the past. So I'm sure that was a difficult decision to make.
It was. Yeah, it was. And then this new settlement offer was made between the administration at the French Antidoping Association and me. So now on last week, I think it was the 16th of January, the French Antidoping Association, the colleague, had a meeting, and they will see if they approve this or not. So I need to wait for them to make a decision. And after that, if they approve this, I think WADA has, I think it is 21 days to figure out if they will appeal this or not.
Yeah.
So hopefully I could be done in around 3 weeks, and I could be done in October. So it's
Still not over.
Still not over, and it's really frustrating. Like, it's been 15 miserable months, and I really hope to be done soon.
Yeah. On your behalf, I hope so too. So just for the audience, you did sign this settlement offer on January 7th, and now it's in the hands of the AFLD college, as you said, and presuming that they will accept the findings of their colleagues in this case, it will be sent to WADA for the final ratification of the settlement, which would, if WADA did recognize it, you would be free to compete right away. Is that correct?
I think no. If the French Antidoping Association approve this, I can compete straight away.
Okay.
And then if WADA appeals it, then it will be a hearing.
Jeez.
But I think I'm not sure if I can. If they appeal this, I'm not sure if I can compete while we're waiting for a hearing. I don't know that, but yeah.
Okay. Well, keep us apprised of that, because I'm sure people will be interested to hear how this does conclude. There's a few more things I want to ask you about before we sign off here, but thank you for just walking us through the entire timeline here, because I think there's a lot of important details, and it's important that you have the opportunity to just speak at length about how this all played out. One thing that I would love to hear, and that I'm sure our audience would be interested in, is the extent to which you can share the financial sacrifices that you and your family have endured. Obviously, you've spoken publicly on your Instagram about losing your main sponsorship with ASICS. And of course, I'm sure this was an expensive legal battle to take on yourself. So if you can share anything about the sacrifices you and your family have had to make defending yourselves, I think that would be important.
Yeah, when it comes to financially, this case have cost maybe 50,000 euros. This is a lot of money, like all our savings. And I lost ASICS as a sponsor. There has been, the communication with them has been like a little bit on and off. But team manager is a wonderful person. He supported me a lot. And also the other people in ASICS Europe. But they don't have the decision power in this case. And the people, like I get noticed in December last year that if I'm signing this settlement offer, that means I will be suspended, and I will lose 16 months of salary, meaning like during this case, all the money has not been paid to me, has been on account also on ASICS. But I will lose 16 months of salary and will not be able to work with ASICS again. So now I'm kicked out of the team and, losing a lot of money.
Thank you for sharing that.
That's not very good. Like financially, it's really bad. And now I'm like, I don't have any job. I don't have any sponsor. I don't know if I can be an athlete. Like, I really hope to come back to be a top athlete and race several more years on top level. But I need some financial support to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Thank you for sharing that. I've also heard that your wife has been a superhero through this period.
Yeah, she has been my girlfriend, Katrina.
Excuse me.
Yeah, she's been amazing during this whole case. Yeah. Like when we got home from hospital that Friday during the day, she gave birth like a C-section 3 days before, and after a birth, you're not like top level with energy. You should lay in bed, you should recover. And when I got this email, I was just so sad, and I was not able to do anything. And she just said, this is not okay, and start fighting. And she's been fighting for me and thinking about this case constantly for several months, like all the way until we delivered my written statement at the 24th of April. She was just constantly working on this case. And of course, when you pushed so hard on a not recovered body for so long, you need to pay back. So she's started on parent leave and continue on sick leave, and has a lot of trouble like with sleeping. Also, I had trouble with sleeping, but like memory loss, all these things. And she is now working on coming back. She started working now and started running a little bit, even though like the body does not respond. As I also felt like during the last year, it was really difficult to do my proper training. Like the body doesn't respond, and I'm thinking like, am I an athlete? Am I not? But it's nothing compared to what she is going through. And I'm so grateful for the amazing job she has done, and I would not make it this far without her.
Yeah. What would you say to those who still doubt your honesty and your integrity?
No, I think they. I just hope that people could be open and see that there are clean athletes out there that is suspended, even though they don't believe me, but have that as an alternative. Like, don't blame people, don't like judge people without seeing the cases from two sides. I'm 100% sure there are clean athletes that get suspended. And I also saw a research that were some scientists that were following rugby on New Zealand for a decade. And during that decade, there was, of all the suspended athletes, they could find less than 10% that had cheated.
Wow.
That's like more than 90% of the suspended athletes had not cheated. And that's crazy, crazy numbers.
It's sad. It's tragic. It's more than just crazy.
And I just wonder, like, how can you show that you are a clean athlete in the system?
Yep.
I don't have an answer to that.
The difficult thing is you can see how it's born out of good intentions, right? Like people wanting the sport to remain clean. And that is something that we should all support, but not at the expense of clean athletes and ruining their lives, their names, their reputations, their careers forever. And hopefully your case will be part of figuring out the middle ground that should exist here. So a couple more things before we sign off. Is there anything in particular that you've learned? Like, because I know there's a lot of professional athletes who listen to this, and like your story is going to be an important one for years to come about, how to educate yourself on the process, how to defend yourself in case of an adverse finding. Is there anything that you'd like to share with the professional athletes about what you learned and what would be valuable?
I think it's important to support each other. I think it's if someone else goes through this horrible and unfair situation that I'm going through, which I hope no one else do, it's important to start investigate straight away. Like, you don't wait. Find good people, some people that you can trust to start working straight away to find the source. Everything is about finding the source, and stay with your values. Like, my value is that I don't cheat. That means like I will not find a source if I can't find the source.
Okay.
That's very important to me. And follow your values. I think it's important. And also it could, hopefully my case could maybe change how also the brands are looking at situations like this. That I really hope that if this will happen to another athlete, I hope the sponsor will support the athlete during the case to figure out what happened.
Good point. So maybe coming to a conclusion here, where do we go now? Where do you go from here, Stian? It's obviously like must feel relieving to get this chapter behind you, assuming that we don't get an appeal from WADA. I'm sure you have a lot of pent up energy, frustration, and maybe competitive drive that you're ready to start using again. Do you have any goals or anything you want to share with the audience as we sign off here about what's on your mind going forward?
Yes, I hope this will be done soon, and we as a family will start recover, and then hopefully that we could talk about other things, and as I said, to be able to laugh again and just enjoy life. I'm really looking forward to get done with this suspension, that I could start running with my running club again, to take part in the community. That has been really difficult in this now last 15 months, that I to be suspended from, to not be able to compete. Okay, fair enough. I can understand that during the case I should not do that, but not to be able to be part of the community. With my running club, I often help out organizing local races, and to help to help with local races and see the other athletes competing, and I'm really looking forward to be part of this again. And also next to running as a professional, I have been coaching a couple of athletes, and I'm really looking forward to start that up again. And to be able to be cheering on at the race, to be on the sideline cheering on the race. I really want to do that, and also to follow my daughter when she's doing gymnastics, because I have not been able to do that either.
Really? So that's all part of the suspension. You're not allowed to run with your club,
anything about sport at all, as long as it's connected to WADA. I could run a bear mile, because it's nothing connected to WADA. But everything else I've been suspended from. So I'm really looking forward to be part of that. And I hope to run races again, first maybe local races at home. But in the end of September, I hope to run the Trail Running World Championship in Spain for Norway. And I hope to run maybe Golden Trail, maybe the European Skyrunning Championship. These things I really hope to run again. But I have to say I'm looking forward to start competing, but also scared of doing it. Scared of coming back to the community. Scared of see what will be the reaction when I'm on the start line again. Yeah. This is something I'm looking forward to, at the same time really scared of doing.
Yeah. Which I think is totally reasonable. But speaking for myself and for a lot of people, I can't wait to see you race again. And I'm really sorry for what you've been through. And I won't pretend to be an expert on doping myself, but I do hope that there's some positive impact that comes from your situation, and that potentially this couple of years of pain that you've been enduring might have a positive impact in some other way, in educating your fellow professional athletes, in helping the doping authorities triangulate towards a reasonable middle ground where sporting integrity is upheld, but where innocent athletes don't have their lives ruined. And, to that extent, it might, in hindsight, feel worth it, even though I'm sure it still feels very painful now. But we can all hope that that's one conclusion that comes from this. But Stian, I really, really appreciate you coming on the show to talk about this. I think it's really important for people to get to know you personally, to hear the story, to see how it's impacted you and your family, even in the smaller things beyond your career. But having to spend 50,000 euros on this, it's like that would put anybody under pressure in the sport. And I regret that you have to rebuild from zero here, but I think there's a lot of people who are ready to be in your corner and help you rebuild. So I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about it.
Thank you so much, Dylan. I really appreciate talking with you, and also that you've been taking me serious. I has been nervous about this, but it feels actually very good. So thank you so much, and thank you for having me.